this is Felissa Rose. I'm Angela from Sleepaway Camp, and you're listening to Rock Video Rental.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. And we are wrapping up Rocktober 5. And we're going to be talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. It is from 1988 and is directed by Stephen Chiodo. The plot is aliens who look like clowns come from outer space and terrorize a small town. The cast, we got Grant Kramer as Mike Tobacco. What a last name. Suzanne Snyder as Debbie Stone. John Allen Nelson as Dave Hansen. John Vernon as Curtis Mooney. Michael S. Siegel as Rich Terenzi. And Peter Lacassi as Paul Terenzi. I think this might be the fifth or sixth time I've seen this movie. Right
Okay.
around there, I would say. And it's such a goofy, goofy movie. It's within the first 5 minutes of this, you know if you're gonna enjoy this or not, if it's your
Oh
kind
yeah.
of movie.
Yeah.
I watched this one time, like, um, towards the end of October, and like my wife was downstairs with me when I was watching it, and she's like, "What in the crap is this movie?" It's like, "What are you making me watch?" Uh,
Yeah, it's I can safely say it's definitely not a movie that my wife would watch and enjoy.
right?
But yeah, no, first time watch for me, shocking. I know, right? Um, but yeah, I really didn't know what to expect because I never really it kind of surprised me. I never really saw anything about this movie. I mean, I knew the movie existed. I'd seen posters or something, but I've never seen a trailer or a clip or anything from this movie because the first time you see the alien clowns, I was just like, "What the crap?" So it was super messed up. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely awesomely bad material.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Um, but it's better than awesomely bad. Like it's still a good movie within itself.
Yeah, but I mean,
Um,
for what it is, like, the plot is completely and utterly absurd,
oh yeah. Yeah.
but it's handled well, and it's got some comedy to it, and then it's got some serious moments to it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a well done movie,
Hmm.
but the whole concept and the idea of it is just dumb.
Yeah. No, they they leaned into it. Like it wasn't meant to be serious, too serious. Like I mean, there was a certain serious element to it. Like they wanted it to be scary and creepy,
Yeah,
but they totally went for the funny aspect too. Where oh man, pieces I think is a
yeah,
decent one with that, where there were funny parts to it that weren't intentional. So, but
yeah. This one has definite intentional humor. I would put this kind of in the same area of Night of the Creeps.
I actually had that down in my notes that this gave me Night of the Creeps vibes.
Yeah, yeah, kind of similar in tone, how it's tongue in cheek, but I will say that probably the best thing in this movie is the look of the clowns.
Um,
Like they're pretty creepy. Um,
yeah.
I mean, the animatronics and stuff in them are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, and I like how there's a few different clowns. They don't all just look the same. Like almost every clown is unique.
Yeah. No, well, that was one thing that I kind of was a little bit confused by. Like I knew there were more clowns than expected, but what was that? I think it was the very end. that all of a sudden there was what, like 2 dozen of them, and
Yeah.
they kept showing the same like four over and over again, and I was just like, how the heck did we get to this many clowns?
Yeah, it was a budget thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh, um, this this is a movie of it's a definite movie of like scenes and things that happen. Um, Probably the most famous scenes, the shadow puppet kill, where the
Yeah.
clown's making like shadow puppets on the wall, and like these old people are like clapping their hands and they're all excited and everything, and all of a sudden he turns it into a dinosaur and somehow eats them.
Hmm.
Like that always cracks me up. That's one of the things I really remember from this movie. And that's one of the more comedic ones. But then we get one, it's a scene that I'll always remember, and it's really kind of creepy, is one of the clowns is outside like a hamburger place, and this little girl is like watching him, and he's like playing peekaboo with her, and he like tries to draw her outside, and he's got like this huge mallet hidden behind his back,
Hmm.
and he's waiting for this little girl to come out so he can kill her.
Yeah.
And like at the last second, the mom grabs the little girl and pulls her back in, and tells her to sit down and eat.
Hmm.
And it's like that's kind of creepy, and it's like a big change in like tone for
Yeah.
this
I
movie in that part.
I was actually prepared for or kind of preparing myself. I was just like, oh man, are they gonna actually like show killing kids?
Yeah,
Or capturing them, I guess, like which would have been a little bit mild if they had just captured them, but I
right.
didn't know which way it was gonna. Well, it was interesting too because an element that I'll put it kind of in that whole mixture thing where this is a scary horror movie to a certain degree, but most of it was like funny. The kills were funny and things like that. But then I think probably the darkest, creepiest turn was the little clown alien babies.
Oh yeah, the little worm things.
Oh yeah, those things were nasty, man.
Yeah, and they have like piranha teeth on them.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, those things are pretty gross looking. Um, Another kind of disturbing scene is when the clown kills Mooney, the old grumpy cop, and turns
Oh
him into a
yeah.
puppet
Mm-hmm.
and like does his voice and everything. That's really creepy.
Yeah.
Uh, then there's like a kind of a gross out one with the acid pies that like melt
Oh.
that security guard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
uh, and then another kill scene is when there's like this group of bikers, and then a clown rides up on a bicycle, like a tricycle, and one of the
Yeah.
bikers is like hassled him. He's like, "Oh, can I ride your bike?" And a clown like says no, and then he's like, "Well, can I ring the bell?" And he's like, he nods yes, and then the guy just grabs the bike and like smashes it. And then the clown takes off, comes back with like boxing gloves off, and the biker's like laughing at him. He's like, "What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?" And then like the clown uppercuts his head off,
Yeah. That was actually pretty funny.
like Jason and Jason Takes Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That always cracks me up too. Like how everybody freaks out, and takes off running.
Yeah. Now, an element to this movie, and it kind of actually touches on what you were just talking about, like the gags and the spoofs that they did.
Yeah,
I I got it. I kind of understood it, and I feel like I'm reading a little bit too much into it because of what this movie was. But for part of me, it was just like, why and how would these aliens know to do these weird clown spoofs? Like the whole concept of, oh, there's a clown on a little tiny bike. It's funny. Oh, a clown with a flower that squirts water at you. Oh, it's funny. Oh, a clown with a mallet. And all these spoofs and everything. And of course, I do, like I said, I already acknowledged it that I'm reading too much into it, but just it was a little weird to me on how they were making this about like clowns from another planet, and yet everything was based off of clowns on Earth.
yeah,
So that was kind of funky to me. I thought, I mean, it was going with the theme, and some of them were funny. Some were definitely funnier than others, but like the balloon animal dog,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty great. The popcorn gun.
Hmm. Which was their popcorn gun the baby clowns?
I don't know.
Like
I'm
that
not
was a little
entirely sure.
because they had the machine in the spacecraft thing, and there was popcorn in this container. And then when uh gosh, I'm gonna mess up. When the guy and the girl run away the first time, they get the popcorn gun and they shoot, and some of the popcorn gets stuck to them, and then they take off.
Yeah.
Before that happens, though, the clowns go into town, and one of the clowns takes popcorn and dumps it in a dumpster. Those popcorn pieces in the dumpster turn into the clown freak show babies.
Hmm.
And then the popcorn that was stuck to her clothes when she gets in the shower crawl into the hamper. And then those turn into the clown babies. So from what I could gather from watching this movie, the popcorn kernels turn into clown babies, which is really weird that they use it
Clown
for
baby.
shooting people. Like that'd be essentially the equivalent of, well, it wouldn't be the equivalent, but I mean, if you want to translate it as close as possible to human terms, that would be like throwing canisters of semen specimen at people. Like
Clown jizz.
it just that really crossed my mind. Like when they started turning into clown babies, I was
Oh
like, well,
man.
that's awkward.
I guess I never really noticed that the popcorn turns into the babies. That's a good
Yeah.
pickup because I never really paid close attention to that.
I mean, I could be wrong, but because I did just watch it once, but that is totally what it was telling me from the way that I viewed it.
Oh man, it's funny. Another memorable one is the pizza delivery one,
Yeah.
where the girl's like, "Oh, pizza," and then like all of a sudden the box opens up and the clown pops out and like zaps her with the gun that makes her do a cotton candy cocoon.
Hmm.
That's most of the kills in this movie is cotton candy cocoons,
Yeah.
which they put a straw into and drink the blood out of it.
Yeah, I guess, which is weird. Also, and then the whole concept is a little bit funny because essentially like the whole town gets taken basically.
Yeah,
But then somehow was it the six of them survive
yeah,
because conveniently the two idiot brothers make it and also the cop makes it. But they
yeah.
were about to try to rescue more people on the ship, but then they like bailed on them even though they had a chance.
And their ship looks like a circus tent.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, with everybody getting taken and everything, and like all these people are calling the cops, and they're like, "Oh, this clown is like in my store destroying things. Oh, this clown took my wife. Oh, this clown did this." And then the John Vernon, who plays Mooney, thinks it's like some big elaborate joke.
Yeah.
Like, I understand like getting a call about a clown like chasing people around or whatever, but like, yeah, okay, buddy. Like ease up on the booze or whatever. But then like when five people in the town call you and your deputy is like going around saying that clowns are killing people and you still don't believe them?
Yeah. He was just being an idiot at that point.
Yeah.
So,
And then the one clown shows up and kills him.
yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous and it's made me laugh like how oblivious he is to everything.
Yeah. It's not a red flag when like you take the clown and then his head spins around.
Yeah. His hands fall off.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, so the weakness of the clowns is if you shoot their nose and they die.
Hmm.
They find that out. But it all leads up to them going to like this theme park, and then they have to battle this enormous clown.
Yeah. Which was pretty anticlimactic.
A little bit, yeah. I think when they made this movie, they kind of things had to get cut, and they didn't have the budget to do exactly what they wanted to do because I think it was originally supposed to be a stop motion clown,
Oh, okay.
but they had to like switch it to a guy in a suit because of the budget. But I mean, it still looked good, but it was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, it didn't really last very long, and it was kind of too easy to kill.
Well, yeah,
So,
he's a big clown, so he's got a big nose, and you just shoot his nose and he dies.
well, he didn't even shoot it. He just popped it with his badge.
Yeah, God. Yep. Oh man. Um, did you notice that? So Debbie, who is Suzanne Snyder, did you recognize her?
No.
She's been in a couple movies we've done. I can't remember the second movie, but I know the other movie we saw her in was Weird Science. She's
Mm,
the blonde girl that Anthony Michael Hall goes out with at the end of the movie.
okay.
Yeah. God, she was in something else too, and I can't remember what it was that we watched, but she's done a fair amount of stuff. I thought she did a halfway decent job. I mean, John Vernon did a good job. He always does.
hmm
And even the dude that played the cop Dave, I thought he did a decent job. But then he got the guy who played Mike. He's awful.
Oh man.
Grant Kramer with a C. Yeah, that guy was not very good.
No, I think it may have helped a little bit with the whole theme of this on, being a ridiculous horror movie.
Yeah,
Um,
overacting.
yeah, like not saying you like the character and you really enjoy it, but just like it just fed into the nonsense of the whole concept. So,
The one um line delivery of his that cracks me up is when they had the shadow puppet scene. And like the dinosaur shadow puppet eats the old people and he's just like, "Holy shit." Like the way he delivers that line is just so awkward. He just sounds like a little kid. But yeah, overacting at its finest there. Uh, anything else to add? You want me to get into trivia and facts?
just totally bizarre horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a fun movie, I'll say that.
Oh yeah, good entertainment one. So,
So trivia. The scene where the car is thrown off a cliff was initially intended to be far more spectacular. The car was to fly over the cliff and crash down on the ground. Unfortunately, the sling rope snapped because the effects crew neglected to remove the stoppers from underneath the car's wheels. The result is what's seen on the screen where the car just like slowly tumbles over the edge and becomes caught in a tree.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a little anticlimactic. So the movie had like a $2 million budget and it went primarily to the production cost. The clowns and visual effects were created almost entirely by the filmmakers at very little cost.
Hmm.
So some of the clown outfits, costumes, were later reused in the movie Ernest Scared Stupid
Oh, okay.
as some of the trolls. Yeah, because the Kyoto brothers did the special effects for that.
Nice.
So the Dickies was a band who wrote and performed the film's theme song, had actually not seen the film prior to writing the song.
Well,
And I can't
they
believe you didn't mention that because that song is ridiculously great.
yeah, I was gonna say they did a pretty darn good job for not watching the
Yeah.
movie.
It just fit like the tone of the movie perfectly too. It's
Hmm.
so such a goofy song. Though it was not a hit when it was in theaters, the film has become a cult classic, and it made revenue in action figures, DVDs, T-shirts, and as well as an assortment of animatronics and other decorations from Spirit Halloween.
Rock.
I mentioned this earlier, but originally the Clownzilla at the end was supposed to be made into a stop motion animation. but the production costs and limited time to shoot, they made it a suit instead. So, as John Massari returned the music master tapes to the studio, people in accounting and the legal department completely dismissed Killer Clowns as being, in quote, a complete failure that will die quick. Massari responded, "Well, you don't get it. There are people out here that will love this movie." And he was right.
Yeah.
So the original distributor, which is Trans World Entertainment, was a small theatrical studio, mainly specializing in direct-to-video B-level horror action movies.
Okay.
Um, was initially supportive of the concept of the film and was going to put up relatively decent prints and advertising campaign for the theatrical release. According to the Kyoto brothers, um, the heads of, I don't know how to say this, Moshe Diamond and Helen and Edward Solari booked the film in only a couple theaters nationwide in the peak of the summer season rather than around Halloween, and the film ended up bombing. TWE also had no interest in merchandising rights to the film. In subsequent years, video rentals and late night cable showings of the film found a small audience. In 1993, TWE was folded during the credit Lionice Entertainment banking scandal and sold its assets, including Killer Clowns from Outer Space, to MGM. In 2001, MGM asked the Kyoto brothers to do a DVD commentary for the film as its midnight movies release, and the film eventually found a huge audience and became a major cult classic in the subsequent years and is done merchandising as the Killer Clown Maze at Universal Studios' annual Halloween Horror Nights.
Hmm.
That was a long one.
Yeah.
The characters of Mike and Debbie were meant to be a role reversal of horror archetypes. Mike is supposed to be like the dumb blonde who doesn't realize bad things are happening, and Debbie is the smarter one who catches on quickly.
Oh. Hmm.
Originally, the film was simply supposed to be titled Killer Clowns. However, the Kyoto brothers feared it would sound too much like just a basic bad slasher movie, so they
Yeah.
added from outer space to acknowledge that it has humor in the film up front.
That was a good move, I think.
Yeah. Formed in 2001, the group Kyotos was originally known as the Kyoto Brothers. The band, um, the band's name was a tribute to the filmmakers of this movie, which I always wondered that.
Hmm.
Approximately 40 clowns were used in a climax of the spaceship Big Top.
Oh. Well, there you
It was John Vernon's idea to have the clown squirt him in the face twice with the flowers for greater comedic effect. Brett Leonard plays the clown that squirts water in Mooney's face. Mooney's fate is foreshadowed early in the film when he says nobody is going to make a dummy out of me, and the clown ends up making him into a ventriloquist dummy.
go. Oh, I did not catch that. That's
Yeah, I
pretty
didn't
good.
catch it either. And the last thing I got is this movie had a $2 million budget, and then for the box office, I found two different numbers. One of them said it made $1,402,
Oh my gosh.
and the other one said it made $748. So
What was the first number? 1,000 what?
$1,402. Yeah. The other said $748.
That's
So
funny.
yeah. Grades. IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, what do you think they are?
Ooh, IMDb. This could be kind of tricky. 7.0?
6.2.
Oh, okay. Went a little high. Critic. Did they come to appreciate it? Let's say 75%.
78.
Okay. Audience 91?
60.
Oh, dang.
I was
Went down.
surprised with that.
Okay.
So our grades. You want to go first?
Sure. Um, so this one is um kind of interesting. I We talked about it. It's a horror movie, but also it's a comedy and they lean into it. I'm torn between two grades, but really a lot of great things working for it. The soundtrack and the score just worked really well. It was filmed good. Um, w- it was filmed well. Also, nothing necessarily spectacular, I would say, with the from a filming aspect, but then just the clowns were done really well. Um, One thing that I you'll sometimes note, well, you may sometimes notice is there'll be certain movies, especially in the horror genre, where they'll do either zombies or clowns or different horror elements, but then they don't do well with keeping the theme. Like they don't all look the same, I guess you
Hmm.
would say. So I was really glad that with how unique these looked, that they all fit together.
Yeah.
Because they did make them look quite different, but they all, stuck together with the theme, which was really
Yeah.
nice.
Hmm.
So they did that really successfully. Just a good, entertaining movie, though. Um, I
It's a good
don't,
popcorn movie.
yeah. I don't know what it is, but there's something that's holding me back from giving this a 5 out of 5 because I'm not looking at it as a strictly a horror movie. It's like a horror comedy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of it compared to other horror comedies, and I'm not really seeing anything that would make me say that this is one of the best horror comedies I've seen. It is. It's one of the better ones for sure, but I think I'm landing at 4.5 instead of a 5, even though
Rock.
it is really good. Again, 5 out of 5 doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect movie, but just that it's one of the best in its category, I guess I would say. So, yeah, I wound up with the 4.5 though.
Rock. Yeah, it's the same thing I've got too.
Rock.
It's a movie I always enjoy because it's just fun and you don't have to pay super close attention to it. Um, it's got some funny things in it and it doesn't take itself too seriously. But like the special effects are pretty good for being so low budget, and I don't know, some of the acting is pretty decent. And I'm just kind of surprised like they haven't made like a legacy sequel
Mm,
or something. I mean, they got the video game out now,
yeah.
which I almost forgot about. But yeah, it's just always an enjoyable movie. So now since we come to the end of the marathon, um, we're gonna rank the movies.
Yeah, 12 movies, right? Total.
Yeah. And we're gonna rank the movies, and then we're going to. I got a couple questions here to ask you, like best of the best kind of thing.
Rock.
But, okay. Um, you want me to start with my list, or you want to go?
Um, I'm good with either or, so
Okay. Well, you gave your grade first. I'll start with my list first, I guess.
yep.
I have my number one is Suspiria.
Okay.
That movie has really grown on me, and every time I watch it, I'm like, this is such a good movie, and I'm kicking myself for not watching it years before. There's just so many good things in it that makes me want to keep watching it.
Rock.
Number two is a very close number two is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
And it's just, I don't know, it's such an influential movie and just the cinematography and everything in it's so good. Number three, and this is like pure enjoyment factor for me, and I went Pieces because I've watched that movie so many times and it's so ridiculous. And it's got like the perfect mixture of bad acting, um, ridiculous concept, and then crazy gore. And then some of the kill scenes, not even just from the gore, just like I always talk about the scene where the girl pees herself. It's
Mm-hmm.
just so unnerving and like realistic that I don't know, I just appreciate it. Number four, I have is Tourist Trap, which I think is one of the most underrated um 70s horror movies. And not a
Rock.
lot of people have seen it, and more people should.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I got Child's Play. I got a big history with that movie, so I had to put it up higher. After that, I got Zombie 2, which is always an enjoyable. It's probably my favorite zombie movie. And after that, I got The Burning, which is another slasher movie I watch quite a bit. Um, and then right after that, I got Monster Squad. That's just another fun movie that I watch every October. It just I like that they brought in all the old monsters and put like a new spin on it. And then I have Killer Clowns, just because it's such a entertaining and fun movie. It's always a good time every time I watch it, so I had to put it up higher. And then I got the other comedy that we did, and that's Night of the Creeps. Still a really fun movie, and like I'm getting to my bottom here, and none of these movies are bad. Just have to say that. Just maybe a little less enjoyable than the other ones. After Night of the Creeps, I have Popcorn, just because it's a little slow and maybe a little after its time. I mean, it came out in the 90s, and it's very much an 80s movie. But the acting of the killer is really good in that, and like his monologue and everything always stands out to me. And then last, I have Scary Movie 2, just because it is such a product of its time. But I do have a history with it because I used to watch this a lot when I was in high school.
Hmm.
So yeah, it always has like a special place in my heart. But yeah, that's my list. What do you got?
Rock. Well, so my list is a little bit interesting because there are certain things that I gave a bump to because of how well it was done, and then there were other things where I would give it a slight bump because of rewatchability, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So my number one was actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that got the number one spot above Suspiria for me because of just kind of overall, like
Yeah,
just great acting, amazing filming, the the score, the the sound editing, overall editing, storytelling, plot, flow of the movie, just fantastic top to bottom. Suspiria, I feel, is very similar to that, but it wasn't as fine tuned as I would say a little bit. Like it just felt like Texas Chainsaw hit on everything. Suspiria went above Texas Chainsaw Massacre from an artistic standpoint, but
yeah,
when you break down all the elements, I feel like Texas Chainsaw overall just got that edge, in my opinion.
yeah. Texas
Um,
Chainsaw is very raw and gritty,
yeah.
where Suspiria is more polished and artistic.
Mm-hmm, for sure. My third one was Tourist Trap. I totally agree with you that that is pretty underrated and a really good movie. I was shocked how you said the bad guy,
Oh, Chuck
whoever.
Connors.
Yeah, that people thought that he was not going to do a good job or that he didn't do a good job because I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
The fourth one I have, and this is kind of an interesting one, a little bit of an interesting one because I don't have any history with it, but I did Child's Play. That's more so from a standpoint of, because for me, it's not so much rewatchability because it doesn't really pique my personal interest.
Hmm.
But it was just well done and how unique it became. The concept and also like, I mean, it's just become such a huge element to Halloween and scary movies, the idea of Chucky the doll and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why that was high. The next one for me is actually really funny because you put it so low, and for me, I put it much higher. I know I ranked it higher than you did, or rated it, gave it a higher rating than you did, but I had a history with it because I watched the scary movie franchise a lot more, I think, than you did. And so the scary movies are just like hilarious to me. So I actually put Scary Movie up there. Also, part of the reason why I got bump up too is rewatchability. Like I could
Yeah.
rewatch that like so many times because it's just stupid funny. Um, After that, I put Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I was kind of surprised at how low on the list it was for you. Um, and just like you said, it's not like that saying that other movies are bad or not good. But yeah, I just from the entertainment, a good entertaining movie, definitely good rewatchability and everything. So that one got a higher one for me. So that's like the upper half. So we had 12 movies. That's 1 through 6 for me. Seven was The Burning. Eight, Night of the Creeps. After that was Pieces. And then my last three were Zombie, Popcorn, and Monster Squad. Monster Squad, I just had no connection with as far as it was a first time watch for me, so there wasn't really anything from my childhood that I had connected with it, and it was so clunky.
Yeah, it
So yeah,
was so rushed.
I completely understand how for you there was something that gave it more value to rank it higher, but for me, since there was no history with it, it was just I watched it and I can guarantee I'm never gonna watch it again. So,
Rock.
but it
So I
was
got a few kind of categories here.
okay.
What movie do you think had the best plot?
Had the best plot.
Yeah,
Um,
like the best story.
I think for I'm gonna take this in a little bit of two different ways. But from an originality standpoint, and of course, maybe there's other things that I'm missing that it copied from, but I think Child's Play was really kind of uh really unique
Hmm.
for a plot. As far as just best plot overall, um, man, I would probably say we're talking about horror movies here. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't know if you could really beat kind of a plot like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured too. And yeah, and you made a good point about Child's Play. Um, there were like some evil doll movies before that. There's a movie called Dolls
Okay.
that predates this. And then there's also a a Twilight Zone episode with an evil doll.
Hmm. All right.
But I mean, the idea of a serial killer putting his soul into a doll was never done before. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and this the way that they handled it, it took a completely ridiculous idea and then handled it so seriously and made it convincing
Mm-hmm.
that yeah, that's a
Well,
good
because
thing to
when you
talk
think about
about.
that concept, honestly, like if somebody were to tell you that concept without you knowing and really watching the Chucky series, um, I would totally expect something like Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Hmm.
something crazy nonsensical. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like they took it and they were just like, no, this is we're being serious about this, and
Yeah.
was executed really well.
I mean, Chucky did get silly as farther it went with like Bride of Chucky
Yeah.
being all for laughs, but that's also a pretty good movie as well. But next thing I got is best cinematography.
Oh, wow. That's
And to me, it's down to two movies.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure we have the same two movies. I'm gonna have to say Suspiria.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fell too.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre's got some really beautiful shots,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, Suspiria with like the
The
whole visuals and the
yeah.
angles and that I always talk about the angle up from the skyscraper pointing down.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one, I still don't know how they did that.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting to take a movie that is slower paced and to do things like that to keep the viewer, more interested in. I think it was handled pretty well.
Yeah, I still think about knowing distinctly knowing that whoever did the blanking on the exact the site planning, the uh scoping for film
Locations,
location. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a term for it. Um that so much of that was specifically sought out because it takes a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm not saying I know this for certain, but so much of it happened in a confined area and space.
Hmm.
And they did an excellent job with it. But with Suspiria, some of it was like, okay, we're going to go to this location because I want to get this kind of a shot. And this may sound really trivial and everything, but one of the simplest, biggest things that I think helped that was at the beginning when she left the airport and when she was going to the dance school and they were going through those woods.
Yeah.
Like I knew I could be wrong, but I can almost guarantee that those woods are nowhere near those filming locations that they
Oh
went and
yeah, I'm
found
sure they're
that
not.
specifically.
Yeah.
So, and those things are just like super awesome to me from a filming aspect, but also just like the artistic element of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, that I would give it to Suspiria. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like not far behind it though.
Rock. Next thing on I got is the best kills in special effects.
Hmm. Man, I'll let you go first on this one. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
think for a second.
This was kind of a tough one for me. Because it's between two for me, and it's the burning and pieces.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with pieces just because of the acting in the death scenes. Just seemed to elevate him even more. And it's so bloody. I mean, with the burning, it's Tom Savini special effects, so they're always top notch. But I feel like that raft scene was probably one of the best scenes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I might have to go with pieces for the special effects.
Yeah. No, those two are really good. I'm having a hard time getting away from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Suspiria.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I'm gonna go with Suspiria. Just because again that artistic element, um, like the first girl who died.
Yeah,
Uh,
the got stabbed in the heart and then hung.
yeah, and the skylight and everything, and
Yeah.
just yeah. So that's kind of what I'm drawn to. Yeah, that is interesting. I Suspiria just gave that extra artistic element to it. Probably after that, I would agree with you that the burning and pieces are kind of right there. I'd probably go with the burning as a close second because even though Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so great, um, the the kills weren't um
There's not that much gore.
there's not that much gore and they're
Yeah.
not really emphasized that much. It's almost more the quick shock and awe value.
It's like Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to stop and think about that for a second. Because yeah, so Suspiria and then probably The Burning as a second choice.
Rock. What movie is the most awesomely bad?
Awesomely Bad Killer Clowns.
Rock. I'm
Um,
gonna go with pieces
okay.
because the acting's even worse.
Yeah,
The whole
true.
scene where she screams bastard always gets me to laugh. And then some of the clunky dialogue cracks me
Now,
up.
so
And the
Killer,
ending too.
yeah, Killer Clowns, as we were saying in this episode, is may not technically be an awesomely bad movie, but it definitely can be tossed in there because they did a good job with it, but they definitely go with that comedy
Yeah.
element.
Hmm.
But truly, really, Pieces is an awesomely bad movie. I easily went with Killer Clowns though, just because the rewatchability
Yeah.
for me is more with Killer Clowns than Pieces.
Yeah. The last thing I got is what movie had the best music? And I think I could easily, quickly say Suspiria.
Yeah, I think so. I'm having a hard time actually remembering the music from any of the other ones. Um,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre really doesn't have any. It's just like
yeah.
sound effects
Hmm.
and like ominous tones and stuff. Pieces had okay music. It's a little corny. Tourist Trap, I don't remember too much from it. The Burning was all right. Monster Squad has more like just songs.
Yeah. No, I
Same thing
think
with
it's
Night of the Creeps.
because Suspiria is just almost on a level of iconic with like Halloween and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, to be honest. So,
Yeah, that main theme song.
hmm
Yeah, it was just very unnerving. But yeah, that is all the categories I had.
rock.
But I think this might be one of the best selection collections of movies that we've done in October.
Yeah.
This and the classic horror movie group we did. There wasn't really any stinkers in that one.
Yeah, I really that was some of my favorites because I the classic horror movies were the ones that I saw the earliest. I
Hmm.
did not see all of them, so it was just I don't know, it was kind of fun and refreshing to see those classics. But I mean, this was a good round too. But I feel like I'm kind of a little bit of a sucker for the
The old
classic
stuff.
horror monster movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are always great. The black and white and the um I don't the slower pace to them and all that atmosphere and all that.
hmm
Yeah. So next month we originally had a plan for that, but I think we were gonna redo it, so it's probably just gonna be a surprise because
Wait
I
and
forgot
find
to
out.
change it. So yeah, because we discussed um flexing that month out to something else, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you all don't know, like we have our schedule all the way out until what, like 2026, or are we into
Uh,
2027?
at least. Yeah. And then we're planning on something else for next year that we might do, so I'm not really want to say too much about that because we gotta figure out the logistics of it.
Yeah, can't
But
commit until we know what we're actually getting into.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the marathon and come by next time. We're gonna be talking about, I don't know. It's gonna be a surprise, so be a surprise for me too, I guess. But if you guys are liking the show, please subscribe and share. You can follow us on social media. We're on pretty much every platform. Go check out our YouTube and our TikTok. We got lots of video content on there. And until then, as always, be kind and rewind.